welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is fun. It's so interesting to connect to people on social media. You get to see these like little snapshots of their lives, and the snapshot that I have gotten to see about your life is just this really cool creative business that you're getting off the ground. And I knew that I wanted to talk to you about it because it's a food related business. And I think, food is obviously inherently creative and artistic. And I think you have some things to teach us today. So tell us a little bit about what your company looks like right now. What is Offset Cider Works? Give us the breakdown.
Yeah, so basically, I'm starting Offset Cider Works. It's a hard cider company. I actually like to say craft cider. And basically, I'm just trying to use my background. I used to be a head brewer, or not head brewer, one of the brewers for Two Bears Brewing. I've been fermenting for about 8 years. For the longest time, I kind of wanted to open up a brewery. But after just seeing how saturated the market was and everything, and having a little bit of experience working for a few different cideries like Seattle Cider, Locust, I just saw a lot of opportunity in the cider world, and felt like I could use my gifts and talents to they would translate over into the cider world. So then I kind of just started on this venture, started writing the business plan, hired a cider consultant, and right now currently in the process of raising capital so I can actually open a production facility. And so right now, basically, I'm just making small batches in my house, pitching to investors, and just trying to get exposure and network, and kind of just the early stages of getting a company launched. So
That's awesome. That's really cool. And I heard you talk a little bit about kind of your experience working in fermenting. So you kind of had that technical experience. Talk about your origin story. Why cider? Where did you develop this passion for the industry? Where did it get started?
yeah, I mean, I really love creating. I don't know. I used to like to draw when I was a kid, creating logos. And so I've always felt like I've had this like creative side to me. And so I found that passion just through fermentation. Again, my first love was beer, and now it's changed to cider. And so within the last couple of years, I've just really been falling in love with the process, and kind of learning more about cider, the different varietals, kind of how cider takes on the characteristics that you kind of throw at it, and just all the fun stuff you can do with it. And so, yeah, I guess the passion came from just getting a little bit of exposure working in the production facility. I can be extrovert, but I am an introvert, and so I kind of like being behind the scenes, working in a production facility. Just you have the music cranking. You start early. You're working with pumps and cleaning tanks, and it's just kind of a fun environment. And I just really fell in love with that side of it, and kind of working with your hands, getting dirty, and just working hard. And plus a lot of the community is really fun too. And so I fell in love with those things. And then I kind of just I always just like I said previously, I always want to start a brewery. And then I just found this new passion for cider, and felt like this great opportunity. And so basically that's kind of what I'm trying to create, but for myself. So yeah, I also feel like there's a lot of room for growth and opportunity, and for me to kind of get creative and try some stuff that I've experimented with maybe on the beer side, and translated over to the cider world. So yeah, kind of just a little bit of everything, using my creative outlet, just having that experience working in a production facility, working with awesome people, and just trying to create that for myself.
That's really, really cool. And it was interesting. You were sharing with me a little bit about kind of what the cider is. And you said a few things that really resonated with me. You said locally sourced, no added sugar. I mean, I'm someone who, kind of flirts with the whole 30, every couple months. And so that's, I know alcohol isn't whole 30, but, I like the idea of no added sugar. That's a big thing for me. So
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I think for the longest time, I think ciders had this negative content, maybe not negative, but it's had this perception that it's like really sweet. And so, now what you're starting to see is a little bit of a transition in the market where a lot of different cideries are opening up that are creating stuff on the drier side. And so it's kind of cool to see this transition to where you can still create a really flavorful product, but you don't need to throw a bunch of sugar
there you go.
and fake ingredients. And so basically, that's kind of my whole approach is, I like to keep things simple,
Yes.
use natural ingredients, and just do it right, though. And so that's kind of, what I want people to taste when they're drinking Offset, and kind of also goes hand in hand with like the branding and having a clean branding and a clean tasting product made with wellness in mind and just done right. So yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
yeah, I agree. I'm kind of on the same page as you. I
Yeah.
like this. I want to know where my stuff is coming from
Yep.
that I'm consuming. I want to know that, what I'm putting in my body is healthy and good for
Yep.
me. And so yeah.
That's awesome. I'm really excited about that. That's really cool. Hey, so I always like to hear, when I talk to creative people, we don't just land, in front of our easels or in front of our, stove or in front of, our art making by ourselves. Usually there's somebody who's inspired us. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about kind of who your cheerleaders are, who has, kind of been your biggest inspiration on your journey.
Man, it's been a team effort. I mean, it goes back to, playing basketball. That I had a good coach, Donald Watts. He's still a good friend of mine. Just he was a huge inspiration to me. Obviously friends and family, parents. My cider consultant's been a huge encouragement and a huge cheerleader. I have investors now, and a lot of them have just been super supportive. There if I need anything, giving me recommendations, connecting me to their network. So it's a kind of a group effort, and it kind of comes. It hasn't just been recent, but I think it's been something that's been building over the years. And but ultimately too, like I just like anyone else, like I have to be my biggest cheerleader, because everyone can connect me to these, to this network, or give me this awesome, like kind of keys to the house, but unless I actually take the key and turn it and do, make it
Absolutely.
happen, like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So for me, it's I have to be my biggest cheerleader, but I've had so much support to kind of keep that going. So it's a group effort for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. Adam, I'm really, really glad that you mentioned that, because I think that's an essential piece of an artistic practice is, saying, in my case, saying I'm an artist, in your case, saying I'm a cider maker, I've got this great product. And I just being your best advocate, putting yourself out there, showing
Right.
up, I think that's huge. So thank you so much for saying that. Really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm sure you mentioned that you're looking for investors, you're pitching. So I'm sure you get this question a lot. Where do you see your company in 5 years? Where do we see Offset Cider Works?
Yeah, absolutely. My goal is I want to be, I guess, yeah, I want to be one of the up and coming, or one of the well established, well known cideries in the Northwest. And I also want to just be, I'd like to have a few locations, potentially one production facility, a tasting room, and then maybe looking to expand into another production facility. So honestly, I don't know. I have big dreams and goals and aspirations, and I kind of want to take Offset as far as it can go. So I'm not sure exactly what that looks like in 5 years, but the sky's the limit. And I definitely want to. I definitely want to see. I definitely want to have a big splash in the Northwest, and I'd like to have Offset be like a name that's associated with the Offset, or have Offset associated with like the Northwest, and have a name in the Northwest and a following. kind of similar to like Two Towns or Seattle Cider or something like that, or Portland Cider, these bigger names. I'd love to kind of be up in that category within the next 5 years. If not sooner, that'd be great. But I mean, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So,
That's
you know,
awesome. Okay, so you
yeah.
talked about work, and we did talk a little bit about kind of the business and infrastructure side, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. I think artists, we get a bad rap sometimes, creative people, we have this reputation for not being not having that attention to detail and not being great at the business side, but you really are. Like you've really done a lot of work on the business side, and I'd love to learn a little bit from you. Talk a little bit, as much as you're comfortable, about kind of the business side of things. What does it take to get a cider company off the ground?
Yeah. So, probably like most people, I'm not starting with a bunch of money in the bank. And that seems to always be a huge barrier to entry for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And especially with, in the cider industry or beer industry or anything with stainless steel, big equipment and power and all that, it's quite a bit of cost. So, for me, it's been a learning process for sure. I've never had investors or, pitched to investors. I think it goes back to, again, just believing in yourself and not having that doubt, and being your biggest cheerleader, and trusting your gut. And then also surrounding yourself with people like mentors, or like, for instance, in my case, like I hired a cider consultant, Brent Miles, because I feel like once I have the cidery up and running, I know what to do, but getting it up and running, I've never done before. So I hired a cider consultant, and we've worked together at Seattle Cider. Now he just opens cideries for a living, and so he's definitely guiding me, so I'm not shooting from the hip. But it's also too, I've learned that a lot of people are going to kind of speak and give advice. And you have to really kind of, you have to be careful about who you listen to and who you don't, and not necessarily take advice from everyone. I've had people say, hey, you should really focus on hard seltzer. I'm like, well, that's not what this is. I don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
So, something like that. So you really have to, I think it comes down to having conviction, creating for myself, having a clear vision and plan. And so that takes time. So, and it's hard because as people that like to create and be successful and everything like that, we, especially in this day and age, we all want like instant gratification or success, or we want to see fruits from our labor. And I'll tell you right now, I'm 2 years into this, and I'm finally getting momentum. So, with major setbacks, and so anyway, just having clear conviction, having clear plan, taking the time to actually put the work in. Like I hate writing. That's not my skill set. I hate writing business plans, doing all that research. But I realize that's what you need to do to have your ducks in a row. Because when I go and present to investors, or I talk to people, I need to have pretty much everything down to a T. They want to know what your plan is, what your niche is, how do you plan to enter the market, do you have the experience, are you knowledgeable? Like, because I'm the expert in this case, in opening a cidery. Even though this is my first go at it, I am the expert. They are relying on me and trusting on me to know that I know what I'm doing. And so yeah, it really comes down to just having a plan, having conviction, listening to, have those people in your corner that you know and trust, and listening to them. For instance, like my consultant, I know he's been there, he's done this. So I take his opinion over pretty much everyone else's, when it comes to, like, business people coming in and trying to give me business ideas, because just because you've been successful in a different business doesn't mean you know how to be successful in the cider industry. And so you can give good feedback and stuff like that. But so just staying true to who you are and what you want to do, having conviction. And then also you're going to get a lot of no's, or a lot of criticism, or constructive criticism. And you got to be willing to take that on the chin. And as hard as it is, and it's not personal, and it'll feel personal, but it's not. You just have to keep going, and you have to take that and try and become better. And you know what? Like when I first started off, I had people say, your cider's not good. It's forgettable,
Oh,
and then now, yeah, and and man, and a lot of those people didn't even realize the story and like, everything leading up to that point, to where, I had some big setbacks. I had a massive injury. Like I didn't, my future was very unknown as far as like even my health. Could I physically do it? Just every aspect of what I was trying to do was in jeopardy prior to that. So when you
yeah.
overcome that, and then you come in and you're excited, you have this business plan, you have the very beginnings of your product, and then you're just getting like, kind of just fed to the wolves almost. It's like Shark Tank, and so it's hard to hear. But you gotta be willing to take it and learn from it and grow from it, because I mean, let's be honest, like, I mean, I'm gonna have setbacks from this point on for as long as I'm a business owner, or even in life. As long as you're on this planet, you're gonna have setbacks, right? And so you gotta just be willing to learn and adjust and grow, and not take those to heart, and see like, okay, well, why is it that I'm getting this feedback? What can I do to get better? And then also just being persistent. Like I've gone back to a lot of those people that said that in the beginning, and I've gotten a completely opposite response now, to where I've gotten a lot better, where I've, someone that says your cider's not good now has told me this is some of the best cider I've ever had. So, it's kind of hard to,
Yeah.
convince someone to do it, because first impressions are everything, so
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of redo that after you've kind of got a negative, or set the tone in a negative way, I guess. But so yeah, I would say those are the biggest things. And again, honestly, it's just being your biggest advocate, trusting your gut, and not reminding yourself why you're qualified,
Yeah.
and reminding yourself that, just because you don't know it, like, doesn't mean it doesn't qualify you. And for me, a big saying for myself is, my whole mentality and mindset is, make the unknown your new norm. Because
Wow.
a lot of us, you're a parent, I'm sure you don't, you never knew how to be a parent until you had kids, right? And it's scary.
Actually,
It's
I was a
scary.
better parent before I had kids.
Oh, okay. Well, that's because you probably had to deal with my pain in the ass. Sorry, as a babysitting. Sorry for my language. Babysitting me growing up. So sorry about that. But anyways, you know what I'm saying though. Like there's a lot of things in life that were, whether it's a first job, or like a first day, or anything new.
Yeah.
It's always the unknown, and we're always so
Yeah.
scared. And then within like what, a month, it's like, okay, it wasn't that scary, and you got it down. So just having that mindset for me, it's like things are intimidating, and those things are going to stop you from pursuing your dream. But in reality, a lot of those things aren't that big. And if we can
Yeah.
overcome that fear,
Yeah.
we'll see what's on the other side, which is, so far my very little experience has been, it's all the stuff I've gone through. It's been worth it so far, for the tiny little bit of success I'm starting to get. So
So Adam, I wrote down your quote: make the unknown your new norm. That was
yeah.
cool. I mean, it's true. You just delivered some wisdom there, my friend. I mean, it really resonated with me, what you said about kind of listening to, those few voices. I
Yeah.
think one of the things that I see a lot, and even in my own creative journey, is looking out too much,
Yeah.
looking for feedback, looking for the way to do it, a pathway that somebody else has used, and forgetting that like the real magic is inside of us, and it's always been inside of us, and
Right.
it's different for everybody. Your magic is different than the founder of another company, and it's just a different, we have to be true to our own voice and to the people that we've brought into our circle. And gosh, that's powerful. I mean, I wish so much that more people would have that mindset, Adam. So I just really resonate and really appreciate what you said about that. That's really neat.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So, okay, so I've got to ask, you're an expert in cider making. I'm assuming you're also an expert in cider drinking. So I've got to ask you, where is the best place? And I know I can't go and buy Offset right now, correct?
Yeah,
But if
correct.
I were to go buy an Offset cider, where would be the best place to drink it?
Oh man, once I'm up and running and once I can sell cider, I mean the best place will either be in my tasting room, which will be housed in my production facility. I'm not sure exactly where that'll be quite yet. Or I will be in grocery stores or bars and restaurants. I mean, my goal is to pretty much be any place that alcohol is served, I want to be in.
Awesome.
And so whether it's in package like 6-pack cans, at a bottle shop or the grocery store, or direct to consumers, just selling to people, online, or at bars and restaurants. So that will be the goal. And the reason why I'm kind of setting myself up the way I am is so that I can actually capitalize on all that and actually make all that happen. So I think once we launch, there'll be a very good chance you can find me, hopefully, any place you go that's local.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm wishing you so much luck. You don't need luck, but I'm just wishing you to be sending you good
I,
wishes. I mean,
I need it all. Yes, I
yeah,
really
it's
need
super
it
fun to watch your
all.
journey and you're doing such a good job and you're so wise. Really smart stuff you shared with us today. And I think any creative person can hear your words and kind of listen to your journey and really be impacted because I think it resonates with anybody who's trying to do something creative. So just really
Yeah.
appreciate your words today, Adam. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I thank you for inviting me and for asking these awesome questions and for doing what you're doing, because you it can be scary or it's a new thing or I don't know, you're putting yourself out there. It's vulnerable doing this.
Totally.
So I commend you for doing that and for reaching out and I think it's really awesome what you're doing. So
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
yeah.